Hello everybody, I'm Don Counts. Welcome into Fayetteville Public Utilities Channel 6. Glad to have you here. And today we have Miss Sheila Rico in the studio. Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Good, good. Today we're going to talk about The Sun is Always Present, a silent reflection walk. It's going to be coming up here in Fayetteville, and it's going to be at the Presbyterian Church coming up on September 22nd. We'll talk about it now just briefly, and then we'll talk about it again at the end so everybody can get involved about this thing. Basically, this process and this walk and the fundraising is about suicide prevention and awareness.
That's correct.
This whole community has been hit hard in that area and in a lot of places around the United States and world. And suicide's not new, but it seems new because it's so fresh here at home. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about how this got started and what you plan on doing with the money and that kind of thing.
Okay, well, my son passed away by suicide almost a year ago, and I became more aware of suicide myself, and then I started researching it and, looking for answers. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I was just not prepared at all. So what I really want to do is make it more education for suicide so people understand it a little bit better. Mm-hmm. And hopefully we can reduce the amount of suicide through education. With my son, I had lost my oldest when he was 25, and it hit my youngest really, really hard, the one that I lost to suicide. And he came to me maybe a week or so after his brother died and said, I want to go be with Jay. And my initial reaction as a parent was like, yeah, that's not an option.
Right.
And I'm like, you're going to a counselor. Mm-hmm. And which is good that I took him to a counselor, mm-hmm. but I just wasn't really, I thought, yeah, my kid has enough sense that he's not going to do this. He's got support, he's got love, mm-hmm. he knows how it would hurt people if he did this. So I was a little bit in denial, mm-hmm. And he was okay. He was hurting really, really bad from the loss of his brother for a long time, but we thought we had gotten past it. It had been about 2.5 years, and then another loss triggered it. And he spoke, to some people about, oh, you'll never see me again and things. And they didn't really know to take it serious. So what I really want everybody to do is, if somebody says something like, well, you'll never see me again, or I'm going to kill myself, to really take it serious and report it, because it's a cry for help. And even myself, if a kid, had come to me before I lost my son and said, Miss Sheila, I want to die, I would be like, are they really serious or not? Even myself, I would have waited out. But now I know, no, if they, you have to worry, oh my gosh, are they going to get so mad at me if they really didn't mean it? But you know what, just let them get mad at you, because they can get mad at you for caring. Because ultimately that's what it is. If you report and you can say, you shouldn't have, if you said it, then you were calling out for help. So
who would you report it to? That's, I think, the thing I wouldn't know where to start.
Well, I would say that, and on this dog tag that we'll be giving out for the walk, it has a suicide prevention network on the back where they always know where to reach. Mm-hmm. But I would say the parents, reach out to somebody, the police, the parents, tell somebody what's going on, your school counselor. We're having this huge problem in our country right now, and it's not just young people, it's, military. The Air Force has a day now dedicated to helping people because they're losing more military personnel from suicide than they are from combat. The same thing with first responders. They're losing more first responders from suicide than on the job duties. Mm-hmm. So the biggest thing with suicide and preventing it is, yes, we want to protect our loved ones and we don't want them to die, but also it causes this tremendous amount of pain. Tremendous, like you couldn't imagine. When my son passed away, oh, it was awful. And and then I had to see all his friends hurting. And it's hard enough when you, as a parent, you're like, oh my gosh, your kid was hurting so bad and you couldn't take it away from them. And then all their friends. And then there's this, because it's so traumatic and so sudden, and you're going to live your whole life thinking, what if? And this like self-blaming almost, like if I had done this or if I had done this. And I don't want our community going through that any more than we have already. I mean, we've lost so many young people and so many older people, and it is traumatizing on everybody around them, because it's just this constant wonder of if I had been nicer to them, if I had spoken to them, if I had called the police, and we just want to prevent all of that if we can. I mean, sometimes, you know, we do what we can and it's not preventable, but other times, you know, it could be.
Yeah. Let's talk about the national suicide rates and Lincoln County suicide. I would dare say that probably there's not many people in Lincoln County who hasn't had someone that they know of, at least, has committed suicide, which is a terrible, terrible thing. What do you know? Do you know anything about the numbers?
Well, in Lincoln County, I've spoken to Scott Ridgway, who's over the Tennessee Suicide Prevention Network, and he said that he believes Lincoln County has the highest rate of suicide per capita in 2018. The numbers haven't come in yet, but that's what he thinks it is. And they keep rising. The suicide rate keeps going up and up and up, and there's no decline in it. And the CDC has really taken attention and, you know, called it an epidemic. You know, it's a huge problem now of people feeling hopeless and just, you know, and not seeing an end to it.
Yeah, I am sure there's people who may be watching who might even have this thought. I would also dare say that probably, you know, we've all thought about, oh my goodness, this is the most terrible, terrible time. I'm never going to make it through it. Yeah. But, you know, your low or their low may not be as low as the others. So what would you suggest that they do if they're watching, even considering it? What do you think they need to do?
I would say that they need to call the Tennessee Suicide Prevention Hotline.
This number right here.
Definitely. And if they have a friend that they're worried about, call the hotline for their friend.
Oh, that's right. So if you got a friend who said these things that we've talked about, you would want them to call 1-800-273-TALK. That's 8255. That's with help comes hope. And that does help because just yesterday at Rotary, we had a guy who talked about suicide. And as uncomfortable as that might be, I understand the importance of having an open discussion about something as critical as this. I'm sure over a year ago or so you wouldn't ever dream you'd be sitting here.
No, I would not. And my kid was a jokester. I mean, he had me laughing every day. He was going to a counselor. She saw no signs. And just an impulsive decision. He didn't leave a letter. And then I woke up. I mean, he was supposed to go to work the next morning. And it was just out of the blue. Yeah. And it's just, like I said, it just was so hard because it hurt so many people. Right. And he got rid of his pain by passing away, but it like went everywhere else.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. One of the things that you mentioned earlier was the fact your pain, as terrible as that pain was, you saw his friend's pain, which even hurt you more.
Yes, yes. And any parent or loved one will tell you it is just absolutely horrible not being able to take the hurt away from your children.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes when we have our children, my children, whatever, it's sometimes hard to see their pain, their deep pain. You don't really know what they're going through. And I want to, so as much as we try to talk to them. And that, but sometimes it's hard to tell.
Yeah, and it's really sometimes hard to relate because they're teenagers, and you want to say a breakup, it'll get better. Right. And they're like, no, it won't.
That's right. Yeah, that's
and
right.
Even adults, you know, have a hard time. But even after Miguel's death, and still to this day, I mean, I have a lot of really bad days. But I have to find those happy moments and really appreciate, you know, those moments, because sometimes I have lots of them, and then sometimes I wake up and I just have, I'm just sad all day.
Oh, yeah.
But it's also given me an understanding of how my kid must have felt.
Right.
Because I felt it. I'm like, yeah, I just want this to stop.
Mm-hmm.
But then that's kind of where the theme for the walk came, is because I was listening to a speaker on Pema Children, and she was talking about how even on the stormiest of days and the darkest of days, emotionally, or paralleling it with the weather, that the sun is going to come out. It's not going to be gone forever. And that really struck me, because sometimes we think, where is God? But we have to know that He is there. Mm-hmm. Just like the sun is there that He created. He's there. We just have to be patient and get through our hard times and stormy days, and wait, and we will get better. It'll get better.
When we talk about suicide rates across, many times we talk about people, Miguel's age, mm-hmm. But we're seeing now from older to younger, all in between. However, when we're talking about the young children, that it's concerning that there are other children who are maybe having that thought. The loss of a child, the deep hurt of a child is bad enough, and we don't ever want to even think about that. But then the suicide even hurts more.
Yes, and after Miguel's death, and when I went to the church to start setting up the service, I spoke with the pastor and Harold Dawkins, and at that point Harold told me, he said that he was a suicide survivor. And I didn't really grasp what that was, and I kind of left thinking, what does that mean exactly? So I got back home and I looked on the internet, and it makes perfect sense after he said that, because he had some suicide loss in his family, and after somebody you love dies from suicide, you are surviving each day. And that's what I saw in the kids that were close to Miguel. I mean, they got through it. Okay. But that is, it's not that, you survived a suicide attempt. It's like you survived the loss of a loved one from suicide, because it is a pain like no other pain that you could ever feel.
Right. Well, the walk coming up on September 22nd at First Presbyterian Church. Let's talk a little bit about that, how people can get involved, and I'm sure there'll be people there that they can talk to, probably.
Yes.
For sure. And we also, they can talk to them earlier than that. We don't have to wait. You don't have to wait till the 22nd if you've got something you need to talk to. However, let's talk a little bit about the walk. The sun is always present. It's a beautiful. I'm going to hold this up there, Miriam. And this is a beautiful shirt that you might tell about. We're going to get one of these shirts if we walk, or pay for the. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about it.
Okay. Well, we're going to have them for sale, some the day of, but if you pre-register by mail or online, you can order your shirts. And they're the comfort colors. That's what everybody likes now with their T-shirts. So they're a really, really soft T-shirt, and they're $20 a piece.
Very nice.
Available in all sizes, and like I said, you can either get them through the mail or by online. You can register.
Okay, so let's talk about how you get online. How would you find this online?
Okay, you'd go to www.reflectionwalk.com, and then it has the page, it has our objective, the map, all the information that you need on there. We also have a Twitter account that I have a good friend that's managing for me, because I'm not too good with Twitter.
Me neither.
And
they're going to walk right by
and a
FPU.
Facebook page.
You're going to walk right by FPU, according to that
Yes,
map.
we are.
Yeah,
we are.
Go up here by Ken's and around by the cemetery, and then back down Washington Street. That's a nice little walk.
It is.
I need to do some walking.
There you go. And it'll be night, so it'll be a little bit cooler.
Oh, it's going to be at night.
Yeah, it'll start at 6 p.m.
Wow.
Well, the walk starts at 6 p.m. The invocation is at 6, and then people can come, and everybody that registers will get this dog tag with the suicide prevention information on the back and the logo on the front, and a bottle of water.
How much is it to?
It's donation based,
Oh,
so
really?
it could be, as little as $5, or however much you want to pay. And I'm really encouraging families to participate, because I work in a profession where I see people on their phones all the time,
Right.
when they're supposed to be playing in the pool or at the park, or
maybe at dinner with someone.
Yes, and
we were all at lunch a while ago, and everybody had their phone out.
Yes, and so that is the reason that we've decided to make it a silent walk, because part of my healing was I like to busy myself, so I busied myself out of the grief. Right. And my counselor and another mentor said, "You've got to get comfortable with the silence, Sheila."
Wow.
And so I said, you're right, and it's hard, because when you just sit there and your mind isn't racing and you're not busying yourself with work, you really have to deal with the grief and the loss.
Wow.
So I thought, we're going to do a silent walk so people can really think about what's important, and so kids' minds and adults can slow down.
I like that.
Yeah, my child Miguel, go all the time on his iPhone, trying to get I don't know what it is, streaks with his Snapchat, and he had such a hard time being still, and his brain was tired, and you don't make good decisions when your brain is tired.
Absolutely.
So I just think that even being in silence with your family is very meaningful. Just to be able to just be like, okay, we're here together and we're supporting each other. And through that silence, you can reflect and maybe have some discussions afterwards. So that's the whole purpose behind the silentness of the walk.
I like that. We all need more silence.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Sometimes to relax, meditate. And sometimes that is hard, though. When you have grief and you have issues or things going on, it's just so hard to turn your brain off. And now we have a brain in our pockets at all time to help us if we can't think very well.
Yes.
So I like the way you're thinking. I love this whole concept. The sun is always present. It's a silent reflection walk, and it's going to be walking right here in Fayetteville, and it's going for a good cause. You might talk about where the money's going to go.
Well, we're going to divide the money between suicide prevention in the local area, and then I've got money put back for youth activities from the ages of 13 to about 18, because there's just not a lot for them. And it's really important. A part of suicide prevention is a sense of community and not being alone. So we're gonna, with the money that we raise, we'll really get some nice activities for that age group, so they know that there are people there that support them, because in this time with people, disengaged and on their phones all the time, it really helps for them to see a face and be like, what, they care enough to have us here and give us something to do. So that's and we've got some different things going on in Lincoln County, so hopefully some of this suicide prevention money will go to that fund.
Absolutely. Let me say one thing too. The donation-based registrations you talked about, you can register online at www.reflectionwalk.com or by mail at Reflection Walk, care of Sheila Rico, 117 High Avenue, Fayetteville 37334, for all the people watching on YouTube. Maybe you've not been around here, because we know this is not just a Lincoln County thing. It's just a serious Lincoln County thing right now. We would love to see those numbers drop or stop.
Yes,
That would be best.
Yes, and the paper registrations I'll have at, I've distributed them several places. It's also available as a PDF online, the paper registration, because a lot of people still use checks.
Right.
And I'm working and getting some churches lined up that are maybe going to have services afterwards or open their sanctuaries up before a silent prayer during this time, because some people can't walk 2 miles or don't want to be in the heat for 2 miles. Right. And that way too, in the event of inclement weather, people can just go to their churches and spend some time silently together. So.
Absolutely. Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for being here. I know it's a hard subject, especially for you.
It is.
And it's a hard subject for us all, and we're sorry for your loss. And we want people to donate to this cause the reflection walk. Sheila Rico, 117 High Avenue, Fayetteville, 37334, and sign up for the walk, make a donation. It will be a good night. Silence is good.
It is.
Silence is healing.
And the square is nice and quiet on Sunday night.
All right. Is that a Sunday night?
It is Sunday night.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, we thank you for coming to talk to us about this, and we need to do more of this kind of thing to let people know that there are people out there who are willing to listen, willing to understand, and making help.
Yeah, yes, that's great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you watching here on Fayetteville Public Utilities Channel 6. We hope to see you at the Sun is Always Present Reflection Walk here in Fayetteville on September the 22nd. I'm Don Counts. We will see you back in here next time on Fayetteville Public Utilities Channel 6.